Moshe Bar-Siman Tov, Israel's Economic Attache to the U.S. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just won re-election. What does that mean for Israel and the U.S. in your view?
Well, I think that Israel and the United States are the best allies probably in the world, and it's going to keep. We are going to keep this way. I don't think any major change in the relationship, and we are here to talk about the economy and the economic relations between the two nations. And there is today a great connections between the two nations, and the benefits for the two nations from the relationship are tremendous. We are now celebrating the 30th anniversary of the free trade agreement between the two nations. It was the first free trade agreement that the United States has ever signed. And ever since the agreement, the trade between the two nations has grown by 500% and created hundreds of thousands of jobs in the United States, in Israel, in Jordan, and in Egypt as well. So from my view, things are going to be just much better. There is a great potential to more develop the economic relations, and I'm sure that we are going to do it.
But there does seem to be tension between both countries, especially when it comes to negotiations on the Iran nuclear deal. That could certainly have significant economic implications. Do you see this opportunity, Netanyahu's re-election, as a chance to reset relations between the two countries?
I'm sure that since we got so much in common, and since we got such a great common interest between us, we will know to overcome the disagreements. There are disagreements, there are some maybe different point of view towards the agreement with Iran, and Netanyahu is standing on the right of Israel to make sure that we will be able to protect ourselves and be safe and have no any existential threats in the future. This is the role of the Prime Minister of Israel, and I'm sure that the two leaders and the two nations will be able to find the right balance between the different point of view. And again, from my perspective as the economic attaché, I think that the best way is to create a more significant pillar in the relationship between us, which is the economic pillar. And this is what we are working on. I think this is the answer for any other think about where should the relationship go.
Well, let's talk more about that. You gave a talk last September where you said you hope to increase U.S.-Israeli commercial cooperation. What did you mean by that, and how are things going 6 months later?
There is in Israel today more than 250 multinational R&D centers. 60% out of them are American one. I think that from my point of view, what I want to see is more American companies in Israel, more investment in companies, but on the other side to see more Israeli companies creating jobs in the United States. There are some few that are doing it, like Teva, like Checkpoint, like Strauss, that are heavily invested in the United States and created thousands of jobs in the United States. There is a mutual impact on our economy, and I want to see this trend going on. I want to see the discussion between the two nations, a discussion of not one nation helping another, but there is a mutual benefit, a mutual reward of the relationship. This is the direction, and I think that as more that we have more talks like that, more seminars like we just had, so we raise the awareness of the importance of the economic relations to the residents of Israel, to the citizens of the United States.
How do you attract more investment? How do you attract more investment into Israel?
Is to create the opportunities. The opportunities are there, and our role as the government is to make the Israeli market more competitive and more appealing to foreign investors, to make the regulatory framework more appealing and more stable for foreign investment. And we are now going through a change that we are breaking down the pyramids in the Israeli economy, and there is a lot of potential that's going to release in the next few years and going to create many opportunities for American and other foreign investors in Israel.
All right, Moshe Bar-Siman Tov, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.